Okay, I'm back. Now we're going to do gradients and also what's called the gradient mesh. Gradients are pretty easy. Gradient mesh is really quite simple too. It's just learning how to be good with this stuff. I mean, nothing can make you look worse than bad use of gradients. So I'm going to draw a couple of shapes here just to show you. I mean, I've got some default gradients already set. If you look in your swatches palette, there's already some gradients in here. They come with a program. Like this is the default one, and here's the way the default one looks. And they correspond with a gradient menu, which looks like this, and it's listed underneath window like the rest of them. So if you click on an object like that with your pointer tool, you can use the default gradient, and it shows you its attributes here, kind of its angle. This strip here is really your main indicator. I can adjust how much white is in the gradient, see how it automatically updates over there. I can adjust how much black is in there the same way. See, more black, and the little diamond in the center is kind of the focal area or the hot spot of the gradient. I can give it more white like that. So that's basically how the default works. And then you can change the colors of it. So let's say so you can click on these little tabs and click on the little white tab. I can go into my swatches palette, or I can go mix a color, or customize whatever color I want. But let's say I want to use this green. I just click on the tab and literally drag it and drop it on that little button right there, and it adds that color to the gradient. Then I can do the same thing to the black side. If I want to bring this yellow down and put it right there. So I've made this new gradient. And you can click. This is a 2-color gradient, right? You can click your cursor. See how when I move my cursor underneath that strip, it gets a little plus sign on it? That means you can add a color to the gradient. You can add as many as you want. So if I wanted this to go from green to, a darker green, click on it like that. It'll do that. If I want to go to white right here to create a highlight, I can do that. So that's how you can really customize a gradient. And then if you get it the way you like it, you click in the little tab. It shows you what it looks like here in the square, and you drag that out and add it to your swatches menu. So now you can use it forever. And if you don't like one of these things, and you can click on it and change the color, or you can just grab that and pull it straight down, and it deletes it. Okay? That's basically how they work. Now, once you get a color applied to a shape like that, and by the way, there's linear and there's also radial gradients. I'll show you radial in a second. Once you get a color applied to a shape or gradient, there's a tool in the toolbox called the gradient tool right there. You click on it. It gives you this weird line thing. What that means is it's the direction that the gradient runs through the shape. So I can drag a different direction across the shape. It runs the gradient through their different ways. And you can start from way out here and stop part of the way in just to give it a little bit of white. See that? Or you can start about here and drag it about to there to give it a little more green. So it really depends on the direction. It's always linear though. See, it doesn't have a bend in the color when you see it out there. See the color? It goes from green to white to yellow. But it's straight. Those are straight or the diagonal bars. They don't arc or change like a curve in them. On a circle, it's kind of fun sometimes to do a radial gradient like that. And the radial gradient can make something look like a sphere. So if you click on your gradient tool and you click and drag off of it in different directions, you can kind of get the thing looking more round like that. See? And it works the same, behaves the same way. You can change the color of it if you want it not to be black, you want it to be funny purple. Get that type of effect, and then you just save your gradient, and that's a radial. Radial gradient means it's emanating out from a center point like ripples in a pond. So be careful with these. Don't use gradients just for the sake of using them to be decorative, because they can look bad. I would really hesitate to use a gradient in something like a logo or whatnot, but it doesn't mean you can't. Just make sure you're making smart design choices when you do that. And this is pretty much it. We can change the angle. See, this is a 37-degree angle. You can go on 45 degrees. You won't notice a difference on that. I usually tell students to stick with the defaults, but you can rotate see how that rotated the box? You can't tell it did anything to the radial one. Okay, that is gradients. What I'm going to show you next are what are called blends, where see how that white highlight goes through this box on a straight line? What if I want that white highlight to bend through that box, like it warped or curved through there? Well, we have to use something called a blend to do that. So that'll be our next video.